struggling to market to your ideal clientele with old branding that worked for you years ago? This branding gap is playing a huge role in your current client conversion rate, and you may not even know it. We've heard it all before. My website doesn't matter that much, or I'll get to it eventually, but years go by and yet you're still asking the same question. Why am I still working the same weddings at the same price point with no growth? So what does your current brand and website say about you? Does your copy actually captivate your ideal clientele, or are they quickly closing your site and connecting with someone else? It's time to give your brand some pampering at the Creative Cabana, your all-inclusive strategy and design studio. With over a decade of experience as wedding vendors, their full-service team knows exactly how powerful great branding can be for your business growth. Whether you need a complete brand refresh or just a touch-up with services like website design, brand identity, or copywriting, they've got you covered. And for filmmakers out there, they also specialize in logo animations so that your film can feel that much more elevated. This is something I just invested in, and it's brought an entirely new look to my films. So you poured your heart and soul into your business. Now it's time for a brand that connects with your customers on every level. Visit their website today and use our discount code WGY300 for $300 off your first project at creativecabana.co. Welcome to the We Got You podcast, a network curated for wedding photographers and filmmakers that dives deep into the strategies and tactics to transitioning a side hustle in the wedding industry into a full-time, thriving career. We're your hosts, luxury wedding filmmaker Emma K. Films and luxury destination wedding photographer Hannah Brook Photography. It wasn't too long ago that we picked up our cameras for the first time, having absolutely no idea where it would lead us. Years later, we're traveling the globe for beautiful destination weddings, built our dream lifestyles, and run multi-six-figure careers. It didn't happen overnight and it wasn't easy, but it is attainable and so worth it. And we're ready to teach you our strategies. Covering a variety of topics from both our firsthand experiences and reputable guest speakers' insights crucial for business growth, we're exploring the art of marketing within your niche, discussing effective ways to attract and retain clients, leverage social media, and build a strong online presence, and so much more. We're not shying away from talking through the challenges of the wedding industry and offering realistic solutions to navigate them successfully. We emphasize the importance of networking, establishing meaningful relationships with clients, and continuously honing one's craft to stand out in a competitive market. This is the We Got You podcast.
Hello. Happy Monday. I am so excited to be on here with you guys today. If you've noticed, if you're watching via video, it is just me on here today, but we're going to be diving into a topic that I really love to talk about, and that I think for a lot of us is a solid piece of our business, which is travel. If you are looking to do more destination work, whether that be elopements or big weddings, or maybe you're wanting to do more work out of state or work internationally, hopefully this episode will help with a lot of tips and tricks. And things that I've learned over the last several years of traveling for work, and some things I had to learn the hard way. So I'm just hoping to save you guys some time, save you guys some effort, energy, money, and everything. And we're just going to really dive into what travel looks like, especially with work, how to, work smarter, not harder, and how to really make the most of it. So to really kind of kick off, I just wanted to dive into when to book travel. I feel like this is one of the most important things when you're looking at travel, because it could be the difference between a $200 plane ticket and a $900 plane ticket. It could be the difference between having a hotel close by that is available to then having to pay a lot of money and stay a lot farther away. When you book your travel is a pretty important piece of the equation. I'm always, the second that somebody is booking me for something that is travel, whether that is a session or it's a wedding day, I am noting down what I'm going to have to book for their travel. Emma and I have talked about this in several episodes, how we have an Excel sheet basically for our wedding days where it has the couple, where the wedding is, the price point, location, who the planner is. I also have on there, is this a wedding that I'm going to have to book a car rental for, a hotel, and a plane ticket? That way I make sure that, I'm as organized as possible. I know what I'm needing to book for what weddings. It's all in one spot. And then at least 3 months before that date, I am booking all of my travel. So I try to book several months out, at least 3 months. I know for plane tickets, I feel like I've heard, I don't know if this is like a myth or whatnot, but I've heard that 3 months or 3 weeks is the best time to book plane tickets. But I think plane tickets is probably the most changing price point of all of those factors. And so really keeping your eye on what those plane prices look like. When you're quoting your couples, say it's for a wedding that's in Utah. When you're quoting them, you should be looking at what the price is for a plane ticket on the dates that you're going to be there, and then add 10% for inflation. So you've got a budget that you can work with. And so I would go ahead and a couple months before, make sure that that is booked. Say you have several months to plan and you have several months before the wedding day. What I really love to do on Google Flights is I hit track this flight. That way you get notified if there's any flights that dip down or if they're raising prices, and you can kind of track what that flow looks like, so that okay, this is pretty low for what it has been recently, or okay, it's been increasing the last couple of days. I'm going to wait for it to calm down a little bit. But just so that you are making the most out of this. And I know I'm somebody who I don't want to pay $900 for a flight if I could have it for $200, because at the end of the day, that is money coming out of my pocket. Yes, I have a budget set for myself basically for what I've charged a couple for travel. But if I'm only using $200 of the $400 that they've, given me for travel, then that extra money is going to go towards other pieces of travel. That might be dog sitting, that might be all these other random things that money can go to. So really making sure that you're working smarter, not harder, getting the best deal is really, really important. Also, same thing for rental cars, is making sure that you're booking those in advance, as well as hotels. I think that hotel prices just like over the years have gone up, and it is crazy to me how much hotels cost. I remember like 5 years ago, it was like average cost for 150 a night. Whereas now I feel like average cost a night is about 250 to 350. And so really trying to do your research, looking where your wedding's going to be, if you're flying in for that wedding, where the airport is and location to the wedding. And I always try to book for myself. I always try to book somewhere closer to the airport versus the wedding location, because that way I know that I can work all the way up to the time to where I'm going over to the airport and I'm leaving, and I can work on edits. I can work on their sneak peek. I can work on culling that sneak peek after the wedding day. And I know that is a shorter travel time for myself to get to the airport. So that's totally personal preference if you're wanting to book closer to the location or not. And then rental car. I really think that a lot of people don't, maybe people just don't know that it exists, but memberships with like Hertz or Enterprise, becoming a member in those car companies will also help you save a lot and have special benefits. You can skip the line, you can have a different price point and everything. And a lot of those are actually free to become members. And so if you haven't already and you're traveling a lot or you are booking rental cars a lot, I would look to see what companies that you're typically booking from, and then see if you can become a member through those. The next thing that I wanted to go over was arrival time. So I always fly in at least a day early if I am shooting in the States. And typically, we're on the West Coast. Em and I are both on the West Coast. And so if I'm going to shoot somewhere on the East Coast, it might be 2 days early, just because it's so much farther. And the longer distance, the more opportunity for something to go wrong, as in the plane is delayed, or there's a mechanical issue, or the flight is full and they're pushing you to a different flight. You just want to make sure that everything that you can control, you are controlling, to make sure that you are getting there on time and have ample time to site scout, map out traffic, pick up a rental car and everything. So if I am shooting in the States, I'm doing at least a day early. That way I can get that rental car a day early. I'm not trying to rush from the rental car center all the way over to a rehearsal dinner or whatnot. And then if I'm shooting internationally or out of the US, or maybe on the East Coast, then I'm showing up typically 2 days early. A big reason for this is because if you are shooting internationally or traveling internationally, there is also just like, I think we can all agree that there's also just like jet lag that is associated with that. And after a 10-hour flight to the UK, you're not necessarily going to want to go jump into being extroverted and bubbly and doing a several-hour rehearsal dinner. You want to give yourself time to really soak in, be there, get your ducks in a row so that you are ready to be there 110% for your clients the next couple days. When I'm leaving, I honestly would say you can book your travel as close as you want. I typically like to wait another night and then book my travel home the following day, just so, again, it gives myself time not to rush, but super personal preference. And I know that when it comes to booking airlines, there's a lot of different sources of flight deals that you can sign up for. I know for myself, I am signed up for Pomelo Flights. And what this does is it basically sends me flight deals for mostly international, sometimes for Alaska and Hawaii, but it'll send me flight deals whenever those prices dip down substantially where they're lower than typical. I really love this for not only like work and everything. You know, if I'm trying to fly to Alaska for an elopement or fly to Hawaii for a wedding day, this is nice because every once in a while I'll get a deal for Hawaii and then I can be like, okay, now I'm gonna like jump on that ticket. But also on like a side note, this is really awesome for if you are wanting to travel somewhere personally and go somewhere new, go somewhere different and setting up like a styled shoot or a content day, which I'll talk about later. But if you're wanting to go somewhere on your own and create content, this is really awesome because it gives you flight deals for locations that you can travel to for a lot less. And then also might be kind of fun because it might be locations you hadn't thought of before. So I know there's like, I think it's Sam's Cheap Flights. I use Pomelo Travel. There's a whole bunch of different ones that you can sign up for, and they'll send you over flight deals. And basically, you're not having to book through third party. It just sends you to Google Flights. And so then you can just book it through Google Flights and you can book it through the actual airlines. But it just is really letting you know when those price points are lower than typical. The next thing I want to dive into is packing. So I'm like a huge fan of packing light, but every single time I go to pack, I'm an overpacker. And so I'm always like, oh, I'm going to have like one bag and like a purse. And then I'm walking out with like everything possible I can take on the plane with me. So I get it if you guys are also heavy packers, but really make sure that all of your gear and anything that you're using for wedding day or for the shoot or for whatever you are doing in that other location, that you have that on yourself and that you have that on the plane. So I put all of my gear into my backpack and that is on my back. So even if they're checking carry-ons, I'm still taking my gear on there with me. Oftentimes, I'll have my harness or my flashes and everything inside my carry-on. And so that again is still coming on the plane with me. If they're trying to check carry-ons, then I still bring it on with me. I let them know that I have a lithium battery in my flashes. And so I need to take it onto the plane. If there's absolutely no space left on the plane, then I will take my flashes out of there. And I will literally like hold on to them for the flight. And so making sure that nothing is basically left up in the air or the chance of being damaged or lost or anything. That being said, I always travel with the idea that if I check a bag, it's going to get lost. So it's keeping an extra pair of clothes on my person. It is keeping all my gear on me. It is not putting anything valuable in my luggage that is checked. I will say any time that I've gone in with that thought, I think I've had my luggage lost 1 or 2 times. And I was all fine because I had everything on me that I needed. And I got it the next day or two. But sometimes you don't know how long it's going to take for you to get that luggage, especially if you're traveling internationally. If you lose your luggage in the airport or maybe it didn't make a connecting flight, it could take 3 to 4 days to get to you. My sister, she just lost her luggage when we were going to Cook Islands for a vacation. And it took probably a half a week for it to get to her because there are only, I think, like a handful of flights going into the island every week. So it was very limited on when it could even get there. So that being said, just travel with the mindset of it's going to get lost. That way you're preparing and you're preventing anything that could potentially harm you for your wedding day or rehearsal dinner or anything that you're showing up to, that you always have all of your gear on you and you're ready to go. That being said, also make sure that you have gear insurance. So protect your gear at all costs while you're traveling, while that is in your hands and on your back and carried with you, as well as having it be insured. That way, if, it is tossed somewhere, thrown somewhere, something happens to it, and it gets damaged, you are covered and you're good to go. Em and I both use State Farm for our gear insurance. And if you guys have any questions about that, always feel free to DM us or mention something in the Facebook group. And I know everybody can share their input on where they get gear insurance, but it is 1000% worth it, especially for the peace of mind. But also recognizing how much we're traveling with. If something does happen to your backpack or somebody's luggage gets dropped onto it and it cracks a camera lens or something, that is the last thing that you're wanting right before a wedding day. So I'm always traveling with extra gear. So I'm always having at least an extra camera body, at least an extra lens, at least an extra flash. That way, while the gear insurance protects me against the cost, I'm also protected in the then and now, where I can still go and shoot and work and photograph that day.
Are you tired of taking on the entire editing workload yourself? Are you tired of staring at a screen for days on end, feeling burnt out and creatively exhausted? Maybe you've been searching for an editing company for months now, but you can't seem to find one that can truly mimic the high-end quality of films you're looking for to deliver to your clients. If this sounds like you, we couldn't be more excited to introduce to you our friends at Wonderlust Videos. Wonderlust Videos is a post-production service for wedding filmmakers with over 10 years of experience and has served over 700 clients to date. Their full team specializes in seamless and high-quality editing for wedding filmmakers who need to take the workload off their shoulders and trust someone to create a high-end edit. As you know, we're incredibly picky about the partners we work with and the tools and resources we recommend to other photographers and filmmakers. With that being said, I myself, Emma, have gone through the process firsthand to use Wonderlust Videos myself and vet their entire process so that I could recommend them to you today with confidence. Wonderlust Videos can edit your highlight films, social media teasers, doc edits, and so much more. Their team edits on Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, so it's time to get the help you need and start outsourcing today. You can start with Wonderlust Videos right now at wonderlust-videos.com and use our code WGY10 for 10% off your first project. Does your current client delivery system feel unexciting, limiting, and boring? Maybe you're still using good old Google Drive or Dropbox to deliver your clients' wedding films. If the answer to these is yes, it's time to level up your video delivery experience with VidFlow. VidFlow is a pay-per-use online platform that allows you to deliver fully branded websites for each of your clients. While being incredibly affordable, VidFlow is accessible on mobile, desktop, and smart TVs with included long-term hosting so that your clients can truly enjoy the entire experience when receiving their wedding films. When I first found VidFlow, it was such an easy switch that truly benefited my business substantially. With so many incredible features and options for customization and personalization, VidFlow continues to wow my clients time and time again. You can find VidFlow on Instagram or visit their website at vidflow.co. Use our code WGY20 for 20% off a yearly premium membership and level up your client experience today with VidFlow.
Another way to work smarter, not harder is TSA PreCheck. And it cracks me up because it took me the longest time to get TSA PreCheck. For the first couple of years, I actually did not have TSA PreCheck. And I was like, it's okay. Like, I'm always traveling early. I'm not in a rush. Like, I don't mind waiting in line. But now having TSA PreCheck, I was like, I don't know how I did it earlier. Like, just the ease of having TSA PreCheck, just knowing that it's not going to take me a long time at the airport, is, I feel like, a weight and a relief off of my shoulders. It really is worth the money. You can apply online and then do an interview at any of the given locations that they offer. It really just lets you save time and not stress while you're traveling. That's the last thing that you need when you're already probably nervous for whatever work that you're doing when you get there, or you've got things that you want to edit and work on. A lot of times I'll go through TSA PreCheck, and because I can make it through really quick, I'm able to start calling a wedding while I'm sitting down waiting for my flight. On top of TSA PreCheck, there's also Global Entry. Global Entry is basically TSA PreCheck for international travels. And so it is like the shorter line and the quicker get through for when you're coming back into the USA. All you have to do is you have to walk up to like a podium. It scans your face. It lets you through. You don't even have to talk to a customs agent or anything. They've got everything on you. And so it makes it significantly faster. You don't have to wait in those long lines to get back into the US. And so it just makes it a lot easier. Global Entry is harder, I think, when it comes to the time for getting an appointment and an interview. It does take a lot longer. So that being said, if it is something that you're interested in, I would look right now and sign up for an appointment or an interview. But then also, if you're traveling internationally already, when you're coming back into the USA, you can actually ask a customs agent if you can do an on-the-spot interview. And oftentimes there's a desk area or office area that you can go into and you can do your interview and you can give them all of your information and you can do it as you're coming back into the US. So that's how I did it. When I was coming back from Italy, I was going through New York and I went into the office and I was able to do an appointment right then and there. They ask you a whole bunch of questions. They ask for a lot of your information. You have your passport on you and everything. And then after a little bit, I was given my number. It automatically gives you TSA PreCheck as well. So if you have global entry, you do not have to pay for TSA PreCheck on top of that. You're given your global entry number, which is also your known traveler number for TSA PreCheck. So you are good to go. It's two birds, one stone. Speaking of that, speaking of making just like life easier and everything when it comes to traveling, another really big thing that I have learned recently is signing up for Priority Pass. So you can either access this through certain credit cards, like I know Amex, you can get a discount for Amex cards for your Priority Pass subscription, or you can have like pay for a membership with Priority Pass. But what Priority Pass does is it gives you access to airport lounges. And if you guys are similar to me when traveling, eventually you just get tired of sitting in the chairs and trying to find somewhere to set up a computer, and then you have to bring everything with you to go to run to the bathroom to go grab a snack or fill up your water bottle or something. Where airport lounges have truly become like a lifesaver for me. And my sisters actually introduced me to Priority Pass. But what's really nice is you can then see what airport lounges are accessible at each of the airports. You can see which ones provide showers that you can maybe go get a shower, especially if you're traveling internationally. Food, drink, somewhere to sit, somewhere to work, somewhere to edit, or even just not edit and just like relax and not feel like you're in a airport that everybody is in. I hate to call it gross. I love airports, but like I hate to call it gross, but at the same time, like airports are a lot dirtier, and oftentimes the lounges, like you just feel so much cleaner, you feel more at ease, and it's a little bit more comfortable. Don't fall into the trap where you then forget to check the time and run to your airline. So make sure that you're aware of the time. But Priority Pass is amazing because if you're traveling a lot, it gives you that opportunity to have somewhere that you feel like you can really like get into the work mindset or step away or not feel like you've been like running through an airport all day. And then one of the last things that I wanted to touch on was traveling internationally, with bank, phone, everything like that. If you are going to travel internationally, make sure that you're using a bank card that does not charge you international fees. It's also really imperative that you call your bank, or some banks can do this on their app if that's what you have for your banking, and you can go let them know that you're going to be traveling and to what countries. That way they do not freeze your cards and you're not then stuck without a visa or a credit card or anything while in another country. So just make sure that you're communicating with your bank. Same thing with your phone. Myself and Emma, we both have, I forget what it's called, if it's a travel package or whatnot with our phone carriers. But I know for at least Verizon, anytime that I leave the country to another country, leave the US, I'm charged, I believe it's $10 for every 24 hours that I'm using my phone, and I still get cell service. I still have that access. And to me, it's worth it because I hate saying this, but I know we're all on the same page when it comes to like our phone is kind of that like backbone to our business, with social medias, with posting, updating, staying in contact with loved ones, especially traveling somewhere internationally. If you're traveling by yourself, if you're trying to meet up with people, you oftentimes are not going to be able to just go off of Wi-Fi. And so $10 a day to be able to have that access, to be able to communicate with people, reach out to people, contact people, let them know that, you're good to go, you're safe, is very, very amazing. And then also, I think at some point necessary too, if you're traveling by yourself, it can be a lot. And I think that, everybody, especially for the first couple times traveling alone, has been in the same boat where it's overwhelming. You're trying to, figure out what trains you're hopping on. You're trying to figure out where to go, how to communicate with another language. One of the last things you want to worry about is also being able to communicate with your people back home or get in touch with, the couple that you're going to meet up with or whatnot. So it really is just covering all of your bases. And I think that's really what everything in today's episode is about, is covering all of your bases, whether that be, when you're booking your travel, how you're booking your travel, what travel you're booking, how to get the best deals, how to work smarter, not harder. And I think that really will hopefully help you guys in every aspect of your travel. If you're also traveling for like vacation or for yourself, use that and double your personal travel as marketing. If you're wanting to do a lot of travel content, travel weddings, travel shoots, anytime that you're traveling for yourself, market that, share that you're traveling, share that you're out and about, share that you're on a plane ride, share that you're in another state or another country, because brides and grooms want to book somebody to travel to their Italian destination wedding if they know you know how to travel. They do not want to have to worry about you, stress about you, help figure out your car situation, your hotel situation. They want to have somebody that they know that they can trust, who has done this, who is educated and experienced. So the more, if you are traveling for personal vacation or whatnot, really share that on your story. And then also think about maybe setting up a styled shoot or a content or shooting with a couple that you've reached out to over social media, so that you can also not only share that you're traveling, but then also share work in another location. I really think one of the things that kind of jumped off with my international traveling and everything was the first time that I shot internationally. And when I did a whole bunch of like different US state work, my husband and I, we did a road trip through a whole bunch of national parks. We went through a whole bunch of different states, did a photo shoot in every single location. And that really helped me be able to share different locations, share more than just the West Coast, share to my clients and potential brides and grooms that I'm wanting to travel. I know how to travel and I enjoy to travel. And that booked me one of my first international weddings in Mexico. And then being able to share that Mexico wedding, share that how confident I felt, having that like quiet confidence in sharing that travel and sharing what that looked like and sharing that wedding, then led to booking more international work. And so I really think it is a domino effect, because again, they're not going to book you for a Italian destination wedding if you've never left the state of Washington, or if you only ever work in California, because at that point to them, they're like, okay, well, I don't know if they travel. So while these are all tips for helping yourself when you're traveling, also remember that in order to get into traveling, you really want to showcase that this is something that you can do, that you're confident in, that you're experienced in. But yeah, hopefully that helps you guys a little bit. If you have any questions at all, please put them into the Facebook group. I know that everybody has so many incredible tips and tricks when it comes to traveling. I know this is just literally touching the surface when it comes to international work, traveling out of state and everything. And so would love to hear your guys' thoughts, what your best travel tip is or hack or whatnot. But yeah, share in our Facebook group. Would love to hear from you guys. Other than that, we will see you guys next week on the We Got You podcast. Thanks for listening to another episode of the We Got You podcast. We would absolutely love it if you could take an extra minute to leave us a review and let us know what you think. DM us a screenshot of it and we'll send you a coffee on us. If you want access to an exclusive community, rad freebies, giveaways, and wedding referrals, then join our Facebook group today. Also, if you aren't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you're following along on Instagram at WeGotYou_podcast to stay up to date. We'll see you next week on the We Got You podcast.